Hey, good morning, guys. Welcome back. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to our book club, the 25 Biblical Laws of Success. We're going to keep this thing going. It's Thursday. Oh, no, it's Friday morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. And I absolutely failed on my goal to go to sleep by 11. But we're going to get it right. It's going to take some time. But I do hope that you're doing very well. I hope you're blessed, having a great day today, I hope that you had a great day yesterday. I hope your Friday is awesome. For those of you who look forward to the weekend, maybe you have a blessed weekend. For those of you that got family functions and all that kind of stuff going on, there's a lot of funerals. So pray everything goes well for you all. And we are going to push on with our book today, 25 Biblical Laws of Success. You already know what it is. Very powerful chapter yesterday, chapter 14, the power of the law of the company that you keep. Today is continuing on. This is the last chapter on part 3, which is values. And the last value we are adding today, chapter 15, is the law of self-control, guys. And so just want to give a little insight on how this thing works for me, right? So at the end of the day, when people finally go to sleep, and my kids and my wife, they like to sleep late till like midnight or so, and I don't really get started on my reading until about 1, and that's why I do my videos at 2 or 3 in the morning, and that's because that's the only time I can really get some quiet, right? And so even though there's a bunch of noise still going on, we got trains and helicopters, all kinds of stuff going on out here in Southern California. I don't know what they're doing at 2 o'clock in the morning, but hopefully the sound comes in well. And yeah, just the way I do this, I read right before I make this video, and I don't take any notes. I just highlight right out of the book. I used to do some notes and do the whole iPad thing and the whole presentation, but it's just taking too much dang time. So I just read the chapter, I highlight some things, and I just go at it. Just you guys get my thoughts fresh. That's how we do things here. I don't know how other book clubs do things. I know some people don't even come on the video, and some people have notes all well planned out. What you're going to get is my exact reaction, as I review the chapter I just read. And self-control, powerful chapter. It is something that we all have to deal with. It is something that is very important for all of us to master and to really have full control on this, because I listened to a lot of Miles Monroe, and even he said that this is something that all men have to have under control, and that is self-control, right? And he said even Miles Monroe, had to struggle with this, and he shared some awesome things about goals that he's had. My goal for this year was to read the Bible from cover to cover. I've never done that before, just straight read from front to back. And Miles Monroe said that he does it every year. That was a goal for himself, to do this every year. And he had to figure out what kind of program he was going to place himself into to where he can make that goal happen. But self-control, he said, it's going to take some work. So I'm excited to go over that with you today and what this book has to say on the matter. And I hope you take some nuggets out of it. Our background today says, I am going to succeed. And it has a quote here. It says that we can have more than we've got because we can become more than we are. And that is from the awesome Jim Rohn, who's legendary in self-improvement. If you want to get better at anything, listen to that man, Jim Rohn, man. He's got a lot of great information on free on YouTube, and I'm sure he has programs that he can sell you or that you can buy to get better. But yeah, today we're gonna talk about self-control, controlling yourself. Let's see what this book has to say about it. It starts off with a Bible verse, book of Proverbs. He likes to start off a lot with Proverbs because that is the book of wisdom written by the wisest man who ever lived. So why not? Proverbs chapter 16, verse 32 says, "Better a patient person than a warrior, one with self-control than one who takes the city." Wow. So he's saying a person that is patient and has self-control is better than a mighty warrior who would take a whole city. Right. And so it says, in order to apply all the spiritual laws listed in this book, but especially in order to be a righteous person, it is fundamental that you learn the concept of self-control. Man, that's a huge statement. This is the 15th chapter of the 25 biblical laws of success. And every chapter has been bomb after bomb, and we've been learning so much in each chapter about the different values and the different wisdoms, right? And he says here that none of that will make any sense to you. It will make no kind of improvement to your life. It will not help you whatsoever at all, right? My little Richie from Boston. It will not help you whatsoever at all if you do not first apply the law of self-control. Because see, it really doesn't matter the things that you learn if you don't apply it, if you don't have the wisdom to know how to apply it to yourself and really control yourself, control your thoughts, control your emotions. Nothing that you've learned will ever help you. You've got to have self-control in order to utilize all of those powerful values and those nuggets, to use them right in your life, to apply them, and that you can live a better lifestyle, right? Find more success. Just that one first sentence, man, that's huge, right? It's fundamental that you learn the law of self-control. Napoleon Hill, another powerful writer, says that when writing about self-control, a feature that he said was common to all successful men. You got to see what's common amongst people that have made it if you want to make it. A self-control is a fact, self-control is a feature that he said was common to all successful men, states that having self-control is in fact being your own man. That's how he defines self-control. I got to slow my tongue down. The way he defines self-control is being your own man. It means thinking in the long term. Man, this is another bomb after another one. You got to think long term, appraising the consequences for every action, understanding how what you do either leads you nearer or to distance you from the main objective you have set for yourself. So he says everything that you do is either going to move you closer or further away from your goals, whatever they are. He also claims that a man who is bound by the slavery of debt has no time or inclination to set up or work out ideals, with the results that he drifts downward with time until he eventually begins to set up limitations of his own. Man. So we're talking about self-control. And he says, if you don't take care of it, if you're a slave to debt, if you have no time or inclination to work out your ideals, he says this is going to result in you having a downward spiral. Meaning, if you don't check yourself, you are going to end up in a downward spiral. And it says that with time, you will eventually begin to set up limitations of your own. Wow. So if there's something that is keeping you from moving on and being a better person, being a better man, being a better dad, father, sister, cousin, whatever you are to whoever. If you don't figure out how to have that control, right? It says that eventually you're going to be setting up your own limitations. It's going to be so bad with the lack of self-control that your limitations are going to be popping up all over the place, and it's going to be what's the word? Self I don't know, yourself something. It's going to be on you. You're the one that's going to be making it up. Your own limitations. It says here, you're going to set up limitations in your own mind. And by these, you will hedge yourself behind prison walls for fear and doubts from which he never escapes. Meaning you're going to bet against yourself, and you're going to pin yourself into a situation that you're going to find it hard to move out from, behind his own prison walls for fear and doubt that he will never escape. Wow, that is from Napoleon Hill. I mean, one of the geniuses of literature of all time. He wrote the book Think and Grow Rich, is one of the top selling books in history. One of the most impactful books to all business in general, at all, in every area. I mean, that guy is awesome, right? It says in the Bible, Paul also teaches about self-control. A big passage right here from First Corinthians chapter 9, verse 24 to 27. It says, do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in such a way as to get the prize. Everyone who competes in the games goes into strict training. They do it to get a crown that will not last, but we do it to get a crown that will last forever. Therefore, I do not run like someone runs aimlessly. I do not fight like a boxer beating the air. No, I strike a blow to my body and I make it my slave, that after I have preached it to others, I myself will not be disqualified for the prize. First Corinthians chapter 9, verse 24 to 27. Now let's break that down here. Right, it's an awesome statement that he makes right here. It says to achieve. The breakdown says to achieve a dream, a goal, or a victory, you should, point number one, run like a winner, meaning in such a way to get the prize. Point number two, make sacrifices. As he said, you go into strict training, right? Point three, have faith and trust, meaning not to run aimlessly, as the Bible, as he said here in First Corinthians. Next point, behave in an intellectual and objective way, meaning not fight like a boxer beating the air. And lastly, take charge of yourself and have control. Strike a blow to my body and I make it my slave. First thing that comes to my head is civil unrest, right? Um, Arguments that people are having about topics that are hot today in politics. It's been a very crazy few years, right? And the dilemma continues, and there's new information that comes up, and there's people arguing with each other, and uh, there's a lot of that. There's civil unrest, right? So we just can't seem to come up to an agreement on a lot of things. But it says, moving on, it says, become vigilant. For Mark chapter 4, verse 22 says, for whatever is hidden is meant to be disclosed. One thing that must be remembered is that in the corporate world, you are being observed. Everything you do, as well as what you say, what you give, what you receive, is being observed by others and may be used either for you or against you. We are not talking about appearances, but rather attitudes and actions. You have behaved around. Oh, sorry. We're not talking about appearances, but rather your attitudes, actions, and how you behave around and communicate with others. How you behave professionally cannot be separated. Let's take a moment real quick. It says that you are being observed, meaning everything that you do or say or receive being observed is being observed by others and will be used for or against you. You gotta always have that feeling. Everything that you do, people are watching you. Everything that you say, people are watching you. If you mean to be a person of influence, do know that everything that you do is being scrutinized. Everything that you do is being observed, and it will be brought up when it comes to viewing things that you pursue. People will have an idea of you. I'm learning this a lot more on a totally different level now that I'm making myself a public figure and putting myself out there on Facebook and on YouTube. Um, you feel it that people have judged you based on things that you said, based on things that you've done. the way that you believe, and they will react to you in the way that judging by the information that you give them, by the evidence that you give them. All right, and so it says you always know that you are being observed. Right now, we're not talking about appearances, but rather attitudes and actions, and how you behave and communicate with others. Right, so that's with the corporate world. It says you also have to how you behave professionally cannot be separated from the rest of your relationships, right? So how you you behave at work cannot be separated by the way you work at home, perhaps, right? Including how you are as a friend, a spouse, there you go, as an employee, as a business partner, as a parent, as a child, a citizen, a student, and so on. It's worth remembering that people often behave differently in good times than in moments of adversity, but in both cases, there is always someone watching. So we do act different based on the circumstances. If things are good, if things are bad, but we always got to remember that people are watching you, right? So if you're the kind of person that's never going to take a leadership role, you never want to be a supervisor or something like that, or a manager or a business owner, maybe this is not for you. But do know that people are watching you no matter what, regardless. They are going to judge you based on your actions. Um, both cases but in both cases, there is someone watching. The Bible states, "In everything, set them an example by doing what is good." I think this verse right here is huge. In everything, set them an example by doing what is good. In your teaching, show integrity, seriousness, and soundness of speech that cannot be condemned, so that those who oppose you may be ashamed because they have nothing bad to say about you. Titus chapter 2, verse 7 and 8. I don't read a lot from Titus, but that's freaking awesome. Right? In this passage of spiritual advice, those who oppose you includes anyone who does not know you well, anyone who could have the intention of acting maliciously towards you if given the opportunity, and also anyone who hopes you won't be successful. It's better to live in such a way that you have nothing to fear by being exposed by your enemies. Now, let me stop there because he mentioned something awesome in Titus right after talking about how people are always watching you, they're monitoring you, they're going to judge you based on your actions and the things that you do and say. It says here, in everything, set them an example by doing what is good. And you got to do something good because people are watching. Always do something that is good. In your teaching, show integrity, show seriousness and soundness of speech that cannot be condemned, right? So that those who oppose you may be ashamed. So what comes to me right now is that I've been I've been pretty vocal about things in the political realm, and I mentioned this in a couple chapters back. And what he's saying here is that you got to set an example, um, show integrity, seriousness, and soundness of speech, so that you cannot be condemned. All right, so you got to be confident in something that you believe in. Right, if there's something that you believe in, um, don't let. There's some people that will speak on something on the topic that they say they're passionate about, but you can feel it. Like they're not that confident. Um, they kind of slur their words. I do that sometimes. I've been doing a lot of my podcasts now that I'm making videos. I can see it. They slur their words. They go back and forth. They bring in information that doesn't match up to what they said previously. They're kind of all over the place. They're making statements without concrete facts, right? And so I've had debates. I've been pretty vocal about how I feel about abortion, as I'm pro-life. Um, and I've had people who grew up in church with me, and they uh, got pretty vocal about their opinions too. And to me, it's like, how do you believe in God and you believe in abortion? Like, this is, to me, it doesn't make any sense. But we've had our trade-offs, we've had our points of view, we swapped um, thoughts and comments and things like that. And I stayed confident. I believe I have. He thinks he put me down. He thinks he might have beat me on this debate. That I'm not ready to debate anybody. He says I hide behind whatever. And to me, I took it in a very, I, I feel I was pretty confident in the way I was answering. Uh, Very confident. 100% everything I wrote, I believed in, without any hesitation that I write back to them, until it got to the point to where I was like, okay, I'm not gonna change this guy's mind, so I had to do something. I just had to give him the short answer and cut it off. But it says here, for those who oppose you, um, in this passage of spiritual advice, those who oppose you include anyone who does not know you well, anyone who could have the intention of acting maliciously against you, if given the opportunity, anyone who hopes you won't be successful. And it's better to live in such a way that you have nothing to fear by being exposed to your enemies. So, in this time where you're going to have, if this is something that you do where you're going to have a debate with somebody, in person or online or in private or whatever, um, people will they're always going to look at you, no matter what stance you take. They're going to there's something in their mind that reminds them of who you were, the things that you've done. And so, uh, you just be aware that all actions are being monitored again. The best lesson we can learn is to always do what is good, not only when people are watching, but also when no one is watching. So this is a good verse. This is a good chapter so far for people that want to do a podcast or want to, bring forth information. There's a lot of things that I want to share on a personal level on my page, not just about business and success, but also about things that are going on and how people need to wake up to it. And I'm really, um, I'm I want to be more vocal about it. I want to make more videos about it to inform people, to wake people up to a lot of the injustices that are going on today, and a lot of the trickery that's going on today. And I have a passion to share all that information. Um, oh my gosh. Okay, I think the sound is good. I just had to double check. All right, so it's saying here that always do what is good, and it's better to live in such a way as to have nothing to fear by of being exposed to your enemy. So don't give them any kind of ground of that they can use. Because what I notice in the media, anything bad that you do, if they want to use it, and they want to twist it, if they want to exaggerate it to make you look bad, they're going to do it, right? To make you look bad. Best lesson is do what is good, not only when people are watching, but also when people are not watching. It says obey them, not only to win their favor when their eye is on you, but also as slaves of Christ, doing the will of God from your heart. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 6. Therefore, if you want to be in successful in any endeavor, be aware of your behavior and make sure that all your actions are ethical, righteous, and professional. Because as behave as if you are being videotaped. We talked about that a few chapters ago. Don't be overly critical or lazy or the type of person who has an answer for everything. Do not be the one who provides good service to your customers and your boss. Be pleasant. The Brazilian expression says, good men do not complain. It's an excellent one. Most people do not regret keeping their mouth shut. The safest way, now you gotta, that depends on what we're talking about here. Now, if you got something that you gotta say, if there's something that you need to teach somebody, by all means say it. If you have an opinion, go ahead and be opinionated. We have that freedom, we have that right, right? So it says, the safest way to practice the law of self control is by not doing anything that might adversely affect your trustworthiness. Okay, it says think about yourself. Are you trustworthy? Do you keep your word and meet your deadlines? Do you deliver what you promised, or better yet, do you deliver more than what was requested or promised? Do you go the extra mile? Do you treat your customer, your boss, your business partner, and your coworkers the same way you would like to be treated? Your answers to this will demonstrate your level of self-control, and your self-control will pave the road to your success. To be known for your honesty and integrity is a vital part if you want to be respected as a professional and earn self-respect. People who lack principles don't always sleep well at night because deep down inside that they know what is wrong to act dishonestly. And so when it comes to people that are going to be dishonest and take shortcuts. AOC. All right. When it comes to people that lack in principles, they don't sleep well at night because it says deep down they know it is wrong to act dishonestly. To be known for your honesty and integrity is a vital part of being respected. So there's some people that I, had to get into it with them online, and I honestly, not to be all cocky and everything, or to think of myself any better than anybody else, but I truly believe that he was wrong in his stance, and I just couldn't understand how he could feel that way. Well, I mean, I could understand. I just, expected more of that person because we have the same similar background. We came from the same place, but his opinions have changed throughout the years, and so when it comes to those kinds of people, and it says here, when they lack in principle, they don't always sleep well at night. So you just got to remember that when someone um, you're not in agreement with somebody, it's okay. You guys don't. You're not going to be in agreement with everybody. But those people that lack in principle, not saying that everybody that disagrees with me lacks in principle. Hey, I mean, it's your opinion. I have mine. But if there's anyone that truly does lack in principle, it says here they don't sleep well at night. All right, so pretty much just kind of step away from it and let God handle it, let their conscience handle it, and we'll see what happens in the end. Like Rick Susie, one of my great mentors, who's a multi million dollar earner. He says, "Hey, you do it your way, I'll do it my way, and at the end, we'll see who wins." It just kind of gets to that point sometimes. Unfortunately, we have to end it up at that point. All right, so avoid oversharing in the workplace. All right. So it says Proverbs chapter 25, verse 28, like a city whose walls are broken through is a person who lacks self control. Practicing self control is one of the best forms of self protection, right? That you have. When you allow someone too much intimacy, you are setting the perimeter for future trouble. Ain't that right? Sometimes you might tell people too much stuff at work or whatever, and that word goes around, and next you know you're well known for whatever information that you shared, and that could it's most likely going to be something bad. I don't know how that could be something good, all right? But it says here you're setting yourself up for future trouble. Um, as we learned from our one of our clients in life insurance, and his wife was going on and on and on about some stuff, and the husband's looking at her like, "Hey," like kind of give her the look like, "Hey, shut up now." And then he got fed up and said, straight up, he goes, "Hey, you're volunteering too much information here." And my wife and I, we say it all the time now. Like you're volunteering too much information. Kind of shut your mouth at that point. You know what I mean? So, um, when you allow someone to, okay, there are those who pour their hearts out at work. They talk about everything that is going on in their personal lives, right? And they overshare and congratulate themselves for being sincere and honest. This is a mistake that can jeopardize your career. There is a proper place for everything, guys. Huge. There's a proper place for everything. Your coworker is not necessarily your friend and does not need to know the details of your personal life. Likewise, you should avoid knowing the details of your coworker's personal life. Right? There's some stuff that you do not need to know. Right? I love watching those montages of funny videos that people capture on their phones and stuff like that. And there's one that's called "Had a Bad Day at Work," right? You watch that, as a bunch of funny videos of people falling and doing dumb stuff, and just to make you smile at the end of the day. I like to watch that stuff, and it's always uplifting. It always lifts your spirits. And how did I get to there? Oh, there was a guy who was climbing into a trash can, and I think I was doing a review video. He was climbing into the trash can, and the person that's recording is telling him, "You do not have to do this. You do not have to do this." I think that was like the statement of the year. Because a lot of people do some dumb stuff, and it's like sometimes you need someone to be there for you and say, "Hey, you don't need to be there. You don't need to do that. You don't need to be saying those things. You don't need to be volunteering that information. People don't need to know your business. Right? You need somebody to tell you that you need that voice in your head, self control." to tell you, right? It says they're not necessarily your friends, and you don't need to know the details. They don't need to know the details of your life. You don't need to know the details of theirs. Your work environment is not a home or a club or a group therapy session. Stay on a need to know basis with your colleagues. And so we learned that too in business, that you don't want to, tell all your personal problems to people that you're training. They don't need to know that stuff. Well, for what? How does it help them? Right? You just keep it professional. Keep pushing them up. You got to know about stuff that, as a trainer, you got to know stuff that's going on in their lives, but they don't need to know all your dirt. They don't need to know all your situation, your problems. It doesn't work out, and try not to tell your stuff either, because there's a time and place for that, right? So that's awesome. Let's see. It's not a home. This is not a club. This is not a group therapy session. Stay on a need to know basis. This doesn't mean that you are a cold and standoffish person or indifferent to other people's feelings and circumstances, but it does go without saying that you shouldn't be antisocial. Be courteous. I got to work on that. Be courteous and genuinely interested in others by drawing some lines. Healthy boundaries between your work and your personal life will keep the problems out. Regarding this issue of personal boundaries, Solomon says, "Fools find no pleasure in understanding, but delight in airing their own personal opinions." Proverbs chapter 18, verse 2. It is foolish to become a center of attention. It is better to become interested in other person's opinions and thoughts. If you value and listen to others, you will be seen as a nice and easygoing person. You can also learn from others, especially if you take our advice and follow the law of company you keep, which was yesterday, which urges you to be selective regarding the people with whom you choose to surround yourself. Do not overshare, but be willing to build professional relationships. All right, draw lines, not walls. As the saying goes, good fences make good neighbors, which doesn't mean alienating yourself in your day to day life, but keep going, keep everything in its proper place. So I like what it says here. Don't overshare, but be willing to build a healthy relationship. You should know, if you have a good relationship with God, you will have something called discernment, which you'll be able to discern or decide. You'll be able to understand the Word of God, the way that God does things, the way that the reason why good, bad, and everything happens, you'll have this discernment, and you'll also have this discernment when you go into places that you shouldn't be, which I mentioned a couple of days ago. Um, you'll have this feeling, this emotion about you. Also, when things are coming out of your mouth, you should have discernment and say, maybe this person shouldn't know about this, or maybe I shouldn't be talking about this in a public setting, right? I should be more in control with my mouth. Your mouth, your words is so powerful. That was one of my favorite sermons to preach. Some favorite topics to preach on is the power of the tongue, and our words mean something. And so it is very important that you monitor what comes out of your mouth, because you can bless somebody, but you can also tear somebody down. You can ruin them with the words that come out of your mouth. All right. And so it says here, draw lines, not walls. As the saying goes, good fences make good neighbors, which means don't alienate yourself, but in everything, keep in the proper place. Joseph Ford Newton said, people are lonely because they build walls instead of bridges. There are good and bad walls. When it comes to your professional success, choose wisely the ones that you are going to build and the ones that you are going to tear down. This is where discernment comes in. You got to know when you got to put up a wall, right, to separate yourself from people, like we talked about yesterday, but you also got to know when to bring the wall down. You got to know when to draw a line instead of a wall, and the other way around as well. Right. And so discernment comes in to understand when you ought to do those kind of things. And finishing off here in conclusion, Romans chapter 12, verse 17, do not repay any evil for evil, and be careful to do what is right in the eye of everyone. So that right there kind of burns my butt, because there's a lot of people that I want to post videos against. I mentioned this yesterday, and for whatever reason, people are saying stuff about me online. People are saying stuff about me in person, in private, um, and the word comes around. It gets around to me. It's just one of the. I think it's a gift. I don't know. I kind of hear from the grapevine, and it doesn't really necessarily take a voice. It just kind of happens. But when it does, part of me wants to get so mad. I want to go out there, and I just want to, I want to go at it with people. And sometimes I want to post something and be mean online and stuff, stuff like that. Um, but it says here to be careful what you do in the eyes of people. And it says, do not repay evil for evil, meaning it was wrong for me. And so there are videos that I made in retaliation to some of those comments, in retaliation to some of those posts, in retaliation to the way people treat me in person because of differences in our belief system. Um, and I wanted to get back at them, and I wanted to post in vain and post out of anger and post, to handle whatever information that comes to that they put up. And thank God that I didn't post those videos. There was something going on where the Spirit of God did not allow me to get that far, and with good reason, because I would have ruined something that could be something else, ruin relationships, and I don't really want that. At the end of the day, I don't wish ill for anybody. I don't wish, for someone to be wrong. I just want people to be awake and make a conscious decision, fully aware of all the details. So great chapter, the law of self control. We gotta have self control. If you don't have that, nothing else that we read will help you. Nothing else that you watch. Maybe if you watch another channel, whatever, it's not going to help you if you don't have self control. You know what I mean? And so with that, I leave it with you guys. I'm tired. I'm beat, but we're gonna do this again tomorrow. Tomorrow is part 4. Part 4 is now we are on values. We are now stepping into a different realm, different part here, and we're going to be talking about. Come on, we're going to talk about the laws concerning relationships. Okay, so just a quick recap on part 3 that we've read is these are all values: the law of self-hiring, the law of honesty, the law of names, your brand, the law of the company you keep. Right, very easy to understand that one right there, and the law of self-control, guys. I pray for every person out there, man and woman. We all have things that we all have areas that we are lacking self-control. If there's a sin that you kind of repeat, you're a repeat offender of a certain sin, right? That's because we lack self-control. And I'm not going to bring in what kind of sin it was. That part doesn't matter. All sin is bad. But I will say that, I want to pray for all of you that you learn to control yourself. Right? And I love how Napoleon Hill says it, that self-control is just you being your own man. And I think that's huge. Because right now, one of my biggest passions, yes, I'm passionate about abortion, about being pro-life, but I'm also passionate about spreading truth. Spreading truth. I'm anti-media. I'm all about the small journalists who aren't afraid to tell the truth. They're not trying to hold on to a job. They pretty much work for themselves. They don't have a job that they gotta act a certain way to keep that job. These guys are being real. They're sharing real information straight from sources, and they cite everything. And they bring a lot of they have concrete details to back everything up. And that's one of the things that I want to do for my community is be a truther like them and share and try to wake people up. It's been my goal and my passion, and I get upset about it. I just want to post videos and fight, but I can't do that. I need to make videos where I'm more encouraging. So some good things, just a kind of insight on what's to come. But excited to start on part 4 with you guys tomorrow or later on tonight. I'm gonna try to do it before midnight, for the first time ever. So let's do this thing, guys. Y'all have a blessed day. Have a blessed Friday. Let's get our weekend started right. Do not watch football. Do not watch the Super Bowl, guys. I'm totally against it. There's a lot of bad stuff there. So you don't need to watch it. Go do something more productive. And I know you probably don't like that. You probably like, what the heck? He's crazy. The Super Bowl, like, come on. It's not a real holiday. It's not a real thing. It's rigged. Come on. You know what I mean? You already know Tom Brady's gonna win. I'm not a fan, but it's because it's in the books, right? So, um, God bless you all. Have a good day. Save your money. No Super Bowl party. All right. Read a book and let's get better. Let's sharpen our axes together, y'all. Love you.